this was something maybe publicly you find distasteful, but, you know, in the comfort of your home, in front of your own computer, you're all over it. So people want response? Any house fans? Everybody lies. So heterosexual women in a poll by the General Social Survey is an annual survey that is very well respected. It's been on since 1972. It's run by the National Opinion Research Center at the University of Chicago. This has been a way that social scientists have used to understand our social lives for many years. So according to the survey, heterosexual women, 55 times per year using condoms about 16% of the time. Maybe that's great, maybe it's not. It's over 1 billion condoms a year. It's amazing. Heterosexual men report they use about 1.1 billion condoms. Well, that's problematic. Who are they using those condoms with? Right? So either somebody's lying, right? Either the men or the women. Okay? So anybody feel like the women are lying? You feel like the men are lying? Not willing to commit? That's fine. Well, honestly, everybody's lying. There's only 600 million condoms sold in the United States in a year. So, you know, clearly there's some social signaling going on there. When somebody asks you a question in the survey, you know, I know we all do this. I'm not going to ask you, but I know we all do this in the back of our head. When we read the question, we're kind of like, what should I be doing? You know, what is the kind of right answer? And even if you're not being judged, even as a paper survey or an online survey, and actually online surveys do better than paper surveys do better than in-person surveys, right? The more anonymous we are, the more honest we are. And then there's a way for us to be even more honest. You know, surveys are not a great way to understand the thoughts and feelings and movement and behavior of humans. So what have I left out? We talked about a lot of our social media, talked about things in the real world that we use to feed the beast, you know, our loyalty cards and stuff like that. Something we haven't talked about. Google's watching you. Google's a treasure trove of it.
I was bitten by the magic bug back in the 50s. I was, 8 or 9 years old. I was the first 7 years of my life. And I used to watch the Ed Sullivan Show and occasionally see magicians and just found them absolutely riveting. My grandmother would take me into Boston. I lived in the suburbs, and we'd go sometimes to the joke shop, and I was always drawn to the magic counter. And for a shy kid, magic was a great vehicle to get outside one's shell, and I certainly suggest it to anyone sitting here or your children, your grandchildren. It's really done so much for me in my life in many ways. So I'm here today because having been bitten by the magic bug, and also apparently I'm one of those people who's also, my wife says I'm a hoarder. I prefer the word collector. I'm wondering how many of you consider yourself collectors of something? Any of you? No? What do you collect? That's not over here. You go to D? Really? What? Not later. Okay. Who else? Any other?
I have a magic collection that you want to put you on to do with.
Okay, well, we'll try. So I guess a lot of collectors eventually become dealers, right? You've heard that, so I have a website, magicposters.com. That's not why I'm doing this today, it's not a commercial, but if you're interested in magic, you might enjoy just looking at the site. I sure do. In fact, for me, the site attracts things. To my wife, yeah, I sell stuff once in a while. But anyway, hopefully she won't watch the video that JD is making. So magic is really a passion for me. I haven't quit my day job as a trial lawyer, but I think in many ways it's enhanced my ability to do my job. But that's another topic. But I've been an amateur magician since childhood and a student of magic history, and as JD said, since the 80s, a collector. I collect not just magic posters, but definitely Houdini material, because Houdini really is just such an amazing individual, such an incredible person. What a character. You think he was made up, except he was actually a real person. And it's extraordinary. I woke up this morning, and what's the first thing you do? You know, you look at your cell phone, right? Which is kind of pathetic. But in my case, I went to the computer. My wife was looking at the Washington Post online, and what is the headline in today's Washington Post, at least when I woke up? It was, Israel's Netanyahu, a political Houdini, is facing his toughest escape act yet. So here it is, almost 90 years since Harry Houdini passed away, and still is being invoked, in headlines, and people don't have to ask what being Houdini is. Everyone knows what being Houdini is. So I just thought that was sort of interesting. Maybe it was the spirits at work on my computer. I don't know, maybe I'm the only one who read this morning, but I just thought that was worth sharing. That's the morning post, but on the edition, it changes from hour to hour, so it's probably gone. But you might be able to find it. Anyway, so I'll put my glasses here. So now what I'm going to do today is share some items from my collection. So those of you who are collectors hopefully will enjoy it, and those of you who aren't probably will say, I'm not a collector. But hopefully you'll enjoy some of the what I call eye candy, but also material that helps tell the story of the most famous magician of all time. Maybe Roland might be, but we're not sure if he's real. But we know that Harry Houdini was real, and he certainly was one of the first, perhaps the first superstar. Of course, when JD asked me to do this talk, he asked me to focus on Houdini's relationship to spiritualism and spiritualists. And we're going to do that today. Harry Houdini was born in 1874 as Eric Weiss in Budapest. His father is referred to as a rabbi, but he also was a lawyer. And he left Budapest when Harry was a baby. The family migrated to America, specifically Appleton, Wisconsin, where Mayor Samuel Weiss took on a job as rabbi for a small congregation in Appleton, Wisconsin. By the 1890s, Harry had fallen in love with magic and being a magician. A precocious youth, He would tell a story later in life that his mother, to whom he was very close, made such good apple pie that he would always be asking for the pie, and so she would have to, after she gave him a piece, she would have to lock it away in a cabinet. So young Eric learned how to pick the lock of the cabinet in order to get to the pie. I was bitten by the magic bug back in the 50s. I was, 8 or 9 years old. I wasted the first 7 years of my life. And I used to watch the Ed Sullivan Show and occasionally see magicians, and just found them absolutely riveting. My grandmother would take me into Boston. I lived in the suburbs, and we'd go sometimes to the joke shop, and I was always drawn to the magic counter. And for a shy kid, magic was a great vehicle to get outside one's shell, and I certainly suggest it to anyone sitting here, or your children, your grandchildren. It's really done so much for me in my life in many ways. So I'm here today because having been bitten by the magic bug, and also apparently I'm one of those people who's also, my wife says I'm a hoarder. I prefer the word collector. I'm wondering how many of you consider yourself collectors of something? Any of you? No? What do you collect? I think so. I saw a hand over here. You collect Houdini? Yeah, we'll have to talk later. Okay. Who else? Any other?
I have a magic collection that she wondered what she'll have to do with.
Really? Okay, well, we'll definitely talk. So I guess a lot of collectors eventually become dealers, right? You've heard that, so I have a website, magicposters.com. That's not why I'm doing this today, it's not a commercial, but if you're interested in magic, you might enjoy just looking at the site. I sure do. In fact, for me, the site attracts things. To my wife, yeah, I sell stuff once in a while. But anyway, hopefully she won't watch the video that JD is making. So magic is really a passion for me. I haven't quit my day job as a trial lawyer, but I think in many ways it's enhanced my ability to do my job. But that's another topic. But I've been an amateur magician since childhood, and a student of magic history, and as JD said, since the 80s, collector. Collect not just magic posters, but definitely Houdini material, because Houdini really is just such an amazing individual, such an incredible person. What a character. You think he was made up, except he was actually a real person. And it's extraordinary. I woke up this morning, and what's the first thing you do? You look at your cell phone, right? Which is kind of pathetic. Or when I went to the computer, my wife was looking at the Washington Post online, and what is the headline in today's Washington Post, at least when I woke up? It was, is Israel's Netanyahu a political Houdini is facing his toughest escape act yet? So here it is, almost 90 years since Harry Houdini passed away, and still is being invoked, in headlines, and people don't have to ask what being a Houdini is. Everyone knows what being a Houdini is. So I just thought that was sort of interesting. Maybe it was the spirits at work on my computer. I don't know, maybe I'm the only one who had this morning, but I just thought that was worth sharing. That's this morning's post, but on the e-edition, it changes from hour to hour, so it's probably gone. But you might be able to find it. Anyway, so let me upgrade my glasses here. So what I'm going to do today is share some items from my collection. So those of you who are collectors hopefully will enjoy it, and those of you who aren't probably will say, well, I'm not a collector. But hopefully you'll enjoy some of the what I call eye candy, but also material that helps tell the story of the most famous, the famous magician of all time. Maybe Merlin might be, but we're not sure he's real. But we know that Harry Houdini was real, and he certainly was one of the first, perhaps the first superstar. And of course, when JD asked me to do this talk, he asked me to focus on Houdini's relationship to spiritualism and spiritualists. And we're going to do that today. Harry Houdini was born in 1874 as Eric Weiss in Budapest. His father is referred to as a rabbi, but he also was a lawyer. And he left Budapest when Harry was a baby. The family migrated to America, specifically Appleton, Wisconsin, where Mayor Samuel Weiss took on a job as rabbi for a small congregation in Appleton, Wisconsin. By the 1890s, Harry had fallen in love with magic and being a magician. A precocious youth, he would tell a story later in life that his mother, to whom he was very close, made such good apple pie that he would always be asking for the pie, and so she would have to, after she gave him a piece, she would have to lock it away in a cabinet. So young Eric learned how to pick the lock of the cabinet in order to get to the pie. Now that may be apocryphal, but it's a good beginning as any for us to discuss Harry Houdini, who developed apparently at a young age a fascination for getting into things and later on getting out of them. Here he is with his mother, Cecilia Steiner Weiss. As I said, they were very close. Anyone who's read any of the Houdini biographies or seen the Tony Curtis movie or any of the other bioflicks would know about their very close relationship. When his father passed away, Houdini was still relatively young, and his father made him promise that he would take care of his mother, and he certainly lived up to that promise. So his mother was the baker of the apple pies, and he was the apple of her eye. Okay, so by his 1920s, Harry is performing. He's doing magic. He's actually probably, I'm not sure exactly how old he is in that photograph, but possibly around 20. Over his right shoulder, it's very hard to see, but there's a poster over his right shoulder. And this is a poster, or this is an example of one of those posters. There's one in the Library of Congress, and there's one in the David Copperfield collection. And he was performing with Bess, who he had recently married, Bess Ronner, and they became the Houdinis. That is, his name was Weiss, but he had read about the autobiography of Robert Houdin, the French magician, who really inspired him. And he was told by a friend, if you add an I to the name Houdin, the real name was Robert Houdin, but of course he thought that the last name was Houdin. Added an I, became Houdini, so he wanted to emulate Robert Houdin, and he took on the name Houdini. So at this stage, he's really quite unknown. And I suppose you could say he's one of the first feminists. His wife has equal billing in the act. They are the Houdinis, Bess and Harry. And they performed this illusion called metamorphosis, where Harry was tied up, put into a bag that was tied at the top. That's put into a trunk. The trunk is then tied up. And then a curtain is raised, and within seemingly seconds, the curtain comes down, and Harry is standing outside the trunk, and the trunk is opened up, etc., and Bess is inside. So they switched. And this is a magic trick. It's really a classic illusion that's still performed today. Doug Henning, you remember him? He popularized it in the 70s. The Pendragons, another popular group, had a wonderful version of it. They aren't together anymore, but there are still certain people that are performing the metamorphosis. Houdini probably was not the first to perform it with his wife, but certainly it was an effect that they performed that helped them become more well-known, and certainly probably was the best received of all he was doing. And when he signed up with Martin Beck in the late 1890s, who was a manager also on the rise, he saw something in Houdini, and he said, I'd like you to work with me, and I'll be your manager. And he basically told him to let's cut out the magic, and let's just focus on the metamorphosis and the other escapes that you do, handcuff escapes, etc. And that really, of course, would be a turning point for Houdini. Now, when he performed the metamorphosis, importantly for our discussion today, well, he would go on later on to be a debunker of spiritualists, that is, fraudulent spiritualists, and he would be a skeptical crusader. In his early years, he did take advantage, let's say, of a global public, and would try to sort of weave in spiritualistic themes in some of his tricks, as many magicians do. The traditional magic poster shows a magician with a devil on his shoulder or talking to a devil. That's a very frequent motif that you see in magic posters. So even when he performed the metamorphosis, which he's called the ghost box, he would moan, and he would sometimes rap on the inside of the trunk to suggest, even though he was tied up and this would be seemingly impossible, that maybe there were spirits in there that were helping him out. And when he shows were written up in the press, and sometimes a reporter might opine that perhaps there's something more than just trickery, perhaps there's some sort of work with the supernatural. Houdini didn't exactly go out of his way to disabuse them of those ideas. So he would occasionally use a spiritualistic theme to weave it into his magic. Here's a very early, what's called a cabinet photo of Houdini. This was actually obtained from Bess, not by me directly, but someone else who had it for many years. And this was what they call a spirit photograph, where you see what looks like sort of, it's kind of not that easy to see, but you see near his legs sort of the shroud of a ghost. And of course, that's just a double exposure. But back then, people would look at that and really be blown away. So there he's kind of combining escapes and something with the spirits. And that's very early in his career. This is a book that he published, again, in the late 1890s, with not exactly the same photo, but probably these were taken at the same sitting, very similar. Here, more clearly, you can see the ghost-like apparition in the photograph. Actually, just before he was discovered by Martin Beck, he was not exactly a success. And actually, in this particular book, he's offering to sell his secrets. And you can see that he is versed in the work of spiritualists. You may not be able to read it, maybe some of you can, but it says, for example, for 50 cents, you can learn how to cause an accordion to play music, even though tied and sealed up. For $1, how to materialize spirit forms so they rise from the solid floor. And at the bottom, the grand Houdini slate trick, how to get a communication between two slates that have been brought to you sealed and riveted for a private seance. And I like this language for you guys. Without the skeptics, letting them out of their hands. Good effect, secret and full explanations. $5. And that was not cheap. So as you can see, by the late 1890s, he is well versed in the secrets of spiritualists, or at least some spiritualists. In 1911, he sought out Ira Davenport, and this is an early small broadside of the Davenport brothers, and they were from upstate New York, and they would be tied up and put into this cabinet, large cabinet. Doors would be closed, and all kinds of manifestations would occur, and tambourines would be shaken, and banjos strummed, and objects thrown out, and then the doors would be open, and they'd still be sitting there tied up. So, of course, the suggestion was that there were the spirits would come into the cabinet and cause all these manifestations. There were riots at some of the performances of the Davenport brothers. They were extremely popular. They performed all over the U.S. And Europe. They performed in Russia. But really, they were magicians who kind of took it to an extreme in terms of how they promoted themselves. So this, as you can see, this is 1968. So in 1911, Ira Davenport was still alive. He was living in upstate New York, where they were from originally. His brother was long gone. And Houdini traveled about 800 miles to meet with him. And they spent some time together. And Houdini and Davenport taught Houdini the Davenport rope tie, which was really the core of their act. That is, a tie, a way that they would be tied so that they could get released, but also get back into the position so it looked as though they'd never been released. So this would become part of Houdini's armamentorium, if you will, for the rest of his career. Also, Harry Keller, who was a mentor to Houdini. Harry Keller was the dean of American Magicians, literally. He was the dean of the Society of American Magicians at the turn of the century. He's the person who, the story is, that the Wizard of Oz, that the character of the Wizard is based on. It's based on Harry Keller. So he was from Erie, Pennsylvania. His real name was Heinrich Keller, but it was spelled with an E, but the name was too similar to Robert Heller, the magician, so he had changed the U and A and became Keller. Anyway, that's a little too much inside baseball, unnecessary for this talk. But Keller also had a rope time, which he probably learned from the Davenports, but there's to this day people perform the Keller rope time, again, which is a method of getting out of the rope and then back into the rope, which he, again, shared with Houdini. And also, again, talking about the theme of spiritualism or spirits, here's a 1905 poster of Houdini, the prison cell and barrel mystery, and of the research I've done, it looks like he only performed it for about a year in the UK. And you can see the theme of the supernatural, the fairies, the little devil imps, and he's kind of levitated above the barrel in a kind of a fog. He also performed, of course, in his career, many escapes, many different kinds of escapes involving straitjackets, handcuffs. You saw that first photo where he refers to himself as Harry Handcuff Houdini. Packing cases. He would arrange to be, quote, challenged. That is, where a local, maybe a shipping department of the store, or a bunch of sailors, or in one case, suffragettes, would challenge him to a particular kind of escape. And they would negotiate this, how it would be done, that is, maybe no ropes around his neck or something like that. And then he would accept the escape. And of course, it would always be the challenge, he would accept the challenge, and the challenge would always be performed at, Saturday night's Keith's Theater, or whatever the big show was that he was about to do. So that was one way that Houdini packed the theaters. So this is a challenge in England. Chief Constable locked you up. So this was escaping from a packing case. And he was challenged by William Finlayson, who is a builder, presumably of packing cases. This would be the 4th of July at the Gaiety Theater. Okay. Then here's another one. This is a escape from a burglar-proof safe. This actually was in Houdini's personal collection, and at the very top, he typed in very proudly, "I escaped in 14 minutes." Frequently, he left many scrapbooks, and often like that, sort of knowing that some years later, people would be reading them. Other escapes that he performed, he was thrown into the belly of a huge sea monster that had been washed up on a New England beach, a modern-day Jonah. He almost passed out from the chemicals used to preserve the big fish. He escaped from the famous water torture cell. You probably saw that in the Tony Curtis movie of Houdini. He didn't really die in a water torture cell, although he does in the movie. That's not really true. He had a giant milk can that would be filled with water that he escaped from. He was not a drinker, and he almost did not escape from a milk can that had been filled with beer that a brewery had challenged him to escape from. I guess he hadn't really thought that one out really well. So Houdini was also, in addition to being a magician and record-setting escapologist, what did he do in Australia in 1910? He fly. He was the first person to solo fly a plane in Australia. So he really, and also I believe the name Houdinize, the word Houdinize, maybe he did some lobbying to get it done, but it was in fucking Wagnall's dictionary. Houdinize, to extricate oneself from an object. Anyway, so that's all, the guys like the turn of the century, and he's really sort of a superstar. Whenever he was in New York, he would pop in on his mother. They would have tea along with Bess. This is a family photo of the three of them. Harry looks like he couldn't be happier with the two women in his life. He was performing in Germany in 1913 when he received a cable that his mother had died. This was a stunning blow. He immediately fainted. He later cabled back that they should delay the funeral until he had returned so he could see her one more time. Remember, this is in the days of ocean liners. So he went back to the U.S. and here's a letter from Houdini to his good friend Will Goldston, who was a impresario, a British magician, magic shop owner. "I'm very sick. It will take a couple of months to get me back again. Have canceled my work to end of September. We sail in morning for America. Can't write much. Am too broken up over my darling mother. And just as if I haven't made my point about the relationship, here's a card that he had printed up after her death. In part, he writes, "The mother to whom eternity means no more than a fleeting, forgotten second of time. When working or watching for her children, you must cherish while she is with you, so that when the pitiless reaper brings from the Almighty the mandate recalling mother, you may receive from your ever-present conscience the consolation coming from the knowledge that you tried to remove the briars from the path which she trod through the mortal valley of the shadow of death." He really should have written greeting cards for homework. But no, seriously, obviously, he really had an amazingly close relationship with her, and obviously it was a stunning blow, that loss. So how does he respond? After his father had died in 1892, Houdini had gone to a medium to try to establish contact with his late father, but to no avail. The family also tried to contact Herman, who was one of Houdini's brothers who had died as a child. So on the one hand, he's delved into fake spiritualism. He's used it as a motif in his act. He knows the tricks of spiritualists. He knows that most of them are frauds. But yet he's not totally convinced. And he would say in later years, he would reveal that he had 16 friends as an adult with whom he had a pact that whoever predeceased would try to contact the other.